Well, let's see. There we go. There I am. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gals, Ghosts, and Ladies. I'm live streaming tonight, Friday night, from deep in the Litchfield Hills of Connecticut. I am live streaming for Lizzie Lou Studio, but I am not in Lizzie Lou Studio. I am in Connecticut. So, first things first, I wanted to apologize to the Reverend Mark and to my good friend Joan. I'm very, very, very busy while I'm here, and I just can't get together with anybody other than the plans that I've got. So, I apologize for that. Um, but otherwise, I wanted to say thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. Like I said, I'm not at Lizzie Lou Studio, but tonight's episode is Laurie, my West Coaster. Laurie is in the house. Laurie, I think it's just me and you right now. Um, but as I was saying, welcome to everybody who's watching now, watching later. Somebody else just joined in. Say hello, whoever it is, and let's see. How about if I just the comments, because sometimes it is not easy for me to respond to the comments. Let's see. Where is hi Gina? Thank you for joining. Let's see. I'm not on my regular computer on my lap. Show comments on stage. There you go. So keep it nice, everybody, because all your comments are going to be seen there. Thank you very much. I promise to watch my language too. Tonight is sort of a family-friendly event instead of my usual mysterious and macabre. There might be a little mysterious and macabre in this, but tonight we're doing something different. So this is what we're doing tonight. Let me get back there. Celebrate. There we go. To celebrate Lizzie of Lizzie Lou, to celebrate her 60th birthday. We're having a party for her tomorrow night. Lizzie happens to be my cousin Michele. So pardon me for alternating her name back and forth. I know her by Michele, but I named Lizzie Lou after her middle name and Louise my middle name. So anyways, because I'm here to celebrate her 60th birthday, I decided to do a live stream on 1966. So I do hope that you enjoy some of the really fun facts I uncovered, some facta obscura. You know me, I always try to bring in stuff that you've never heard before. So I think you'll find that I uncovered some really fun stuff about 1966. You know me, I've got my notes. Purple paper. I do have a black pen just because traveling, I didn't want to risk losing any of my nice colored flares. So I'm traveling with a black pen. Also, I'm on my laptop. I'm not in Lizzie Lou Studio. I'm on my laptop in my bedroom, like I said, deep in the Litchfield Hills, apologizing to the Reverend Mark and Joan that I didn't have time to get together with anybody because I am busy here for family business. I would like to show off a little bit. If you take a moment and look at that painting on the wall behind me. Painted by yours truly. I painted that many, many years ago. It's a lighthouse and an ocean scene. And I actually used a Bob Ross tutorial. So we all know who Bob Ross is. So do Bob Ross tutorials work? You tell me. My mother loved it so much, she asked to have it hanging in her house. I actually have several, one, two, three, at least three of my paintings are hanging in my mother's house. And that makes me very happy. Yeah, Laurie, that makes me very, very happy. It's like it's better than having my handprint on the refrigerator with a magnet, you know. So, anyways, so yeah, I'm coming at you from the big mattress. If anybody remembers Charles Laquadera, I am not in my childhood bedroom. My mother moved here when I was 18, but from the time I was 18 till now, on and off, this has been my bedroom. And I'm literally sitting in bed with a quilt covering the pillows behind me and live streaming from my laptop. So, all of that to get to the point of I do apologize if everything isn't perfect because it's not my computer. I'm not in the studio. I am using a portable studio tonight. But I think so far, so good. And I am working on getting a new microphone because this one sucks and my other one sucks. So, excuse me. Anyways, so yeah, so welcome to the live stream. Whatever's in your cup, I hope you're enjoying it. I've got some Gatorade type product and crushed ice. Mom has a crushed ice machine in her refrigerator, so I like filling my cup with that. But anyways, also don't forget this is a 420 friendly space. Smoke them if you got them. I sure did. I didn't tell Mom. I hung my head out the window with my vape, and blew it out the window like a 16-year-old. Some things never change. But anyways, but this is kind of an adult space. I may swear. I'm going to try not to because I'm hoping that maybe my family might tune in because this live stream is for Michele. So if you are watching, drop a comment so I know exactly who's here so I can say hello. And I am going to go ahead and jump into 1966. Let me throw this thing back up on the stage. I absolutely love this. Full disclosure, it's AI. You can tell by the thing on the side where it says PD Pink or something like that. This just doesn't mean anything. But I asked to have me in a Camaro with a sign that says 1966 this way with pink ghosts and UFO, and Chat GPT really delivered. I was really excited about this. However, the first one they did had me going right through the windshield. So I had to give it a correction. Please make me not go through the windshield. Thank you. And so they put me back in. But anyways, one of the things that I asked for in that graphic was to put me in a 1966 Camaro. And that's significant in a minute, and I'll tell you why. But anyways, speaking of significant, 1966 was a really, really significant year in pop culture. Now, I was born in 64, 2 years before this, and definitely some interesting things happened in 64. But 1966 was very, very culturally significant. I am not going to delve into any political issues. It was the time of Vietnam. I'm not going to give an opinion one way or another. I think there might only be one or two minor political facts in here. Well, they're not minor. They were major political things, but they're more here out of trivia than to have a debate about them. So that's all. I just want to say that in advance. Also, I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually here in Connecticut because Lizzie's 60th birthday party is tomorrow night, and I can't wait for it. All my cousins, and my family and my aunts, and there's so many of us, and I'm very, very excited for it. And I love you, Michele, and I love you, Lizzie, and I hope you enjoy the content that I'm going to present. I hope everybody enjoys it, and I hope you learn something. I hope you find out something tonight that you didn't know, and I hope you find something of interest that makes you go, and maybe look up something a little further. Okay. So I am not going to give you my sources. If you do find something interesting, look it up yourself. You got a Google finger. Okay. You know how to look stuff up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. You're smart people. I'm just trying to get you interested. So really buckle up for a very, very fun ride in our 1966 Chevy Camaro, down 1966. And the 1966 Chevy Camaro is significant because that's the year. First fun fact, that's the year that Chevy rolled out the Camaro, 1966. I don't know about you guys. That was always a favorite car of mine. Was a Camaro, and I just thought that was interesting. So yeah. And also, of course, Michele was born. My brother, for you Massachusetts people, my brother's name is Dominic. For you Connecticut people and everywhere else in the world, Dominic was also born this year. So my brother will be 60 later on this year, December 26th. Every year of his life. Oh, here, one gift for your birthday and Christmas. This kid never had a birthday party in his life. Anyways, my brother's going to be 60 this year as well. So it's another good thing that happened in 1966. So yeah, the Chevy Camaro was introduced. Let's see. Who was born that year? Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, Janet Jackson was born in 1966. I thought that was cool. Mike Tyson, he was born in 1966. And Gordon Ramsay, he was born in 1966. And the reason why I like that about Gordon Ramsay is because Gordon Ramsay is a Glaswegian, I believe. I believe that Gordon Ramsay was born in Glasgow, Scotland. And my grandmother was born in Glasgow, Scotland. So I like to believe that I'm a distant cousin of what's his name? Gordon Ramsay. So, yeah. So happy 60th birthday, cousin Gordon Ramsay, cousin Michele and Gordon Ramsay. By the way, I have this really cool picture of cousin Michele. This is Lizzie. This is my cousin Michele. It's her birthday that we're celebrating, her 60th birthday at a party tomorrow night. Her actual birthday was June 1st. So happy birthday, Lizzie/Michele. We love you, and you are just absolutely beautiful. Thank you for letting me share that. So let's see. for work in 1966. The most popular work was factory work and secretarial work. And of course, Uncle Tom. You'll hear me reference Uncle Tommy quite a few times. That's Michelle's dad. I'm going to reference family members a couple times. Uncle Tommy was a factory worker, and then Uncle Tommy was a factory owner, and secretarial. That was the most popular work in 1966. That makes sense. Michele, I hope you're watching because you'll certainly appreciate this. 1966 was the birth of the women's liberation movement. Now, when Michele and we grew up together, she's my cousin, when we were little girls and we were underfoot with all the adults and all the aunties. Michelle's mother, my Aunt Kathy, would say, all right, girls, why don't you go talk women's lib? And, I was like maybe 8 and Michele was like 6, and we would go in our bedroom and say, well, women's liberation. I think women should have equal rights. And we were little girls, but that's how they got us out of their hair. And I thought that was so cool. Michele, I hope you're watching. The women's liberation movement was born in 1966. Let's see what else happened in 1966. The Miranda rights. That's when it became law. I think it passed down from federal that you had to have your rights read to you when you were placed under arrest. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about the Yankees. Okay, is anybody from my family watching? The last comment I can see from Laurie. I don't know who else is there. Anybody from my family watching? Okay, well, I'm throwing this out there. So I am in Connecticut, and in Connecticut, you could go either way. You could swing one way, you could swing the other way. And by that, I mean Yankees or Red Sox. I'm from Connecticut, but my family's from New York. So I'm a Yankees Connecticut. Certainly, I was a Red Sox fan when I lived in Boston, but I completely abandoned baseball when they didn't fire Alex Cora. But that's another story for another day. My point is, not only do I come from a long line of Yankee fans, I come from a long line of rabid Yankee fans. My grandfather was a Yankee fan. My dad was a Yankee fan. I think my Uncle Art was a Yankee fan, or is a Yankee fan. And my Uncle Tom, Michelle's dad, was a rabid Yankees fan. So much so that my Uncle Tom used to spend his vacation in his retirement years going down to Florida and watching the New York Yankees spring training, and that was his vacations every year in his retirement. And God bless him, because he was living the dream. So, but what I did find out about 1966 and the New York Yankees, let's see, let me refer to my notes. What does it say here? In 1966, the New York Yankees were last place in the American League with, where's their record? Oh, I've got it right here. 70-89. They won 70 games. They lost 89 games. In 1966, the New York Yankees were in last place in the American League. And boy, I sure would like to ask my Uncle Tom, my dad, and my grandfather about that year and I know, I'll tell you what, they were all very, very sports minded. My father had a mind for sports details like you wouldn't believe. He would be able to tell you stuff about that year and the Yankees. And this was before computers, but my father had that kind of mind for sports trivia. But the 1966 New York Yankees were in last place in the American League. Wah, wah, wah. The bums. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, something interesting. I got this. Can you make this out? In 1966, it was the year of the very first selfie, and it was Buzz Aldrin in space. The very first selfie was Buzz Aldrin in space in 1966. There was a whole ton of space stuff from 1966, so I suggest you look it up. There was some interesting stuff, but I don't really focus on that here. This is more like pop culture kind of stuff. Definitely not a deep dive, but a fun overview of some really cool stuff. All right, where are we on our notes? Oh, the bums. That's where I left off, the New York Yankees. Let's see, first selfie. Oh, no, Buzz Aldrin left off there. Let's see. Most popular game in America in 1966 was Twister. That was the most popular game in the United States at that time, and the number one seller at Christmas in 1966. But it was also banned in some places because they thought it was sexual. So, I don't know. I remember playing Twister as a kid, and we had a lot of fun. And it was not that. Let's see. Yeah, banned in some areas, but other toy. It wasn't introduced in '66. It was the most popular toy in '66. But here's some cool toys that were introduced in '66. Battleship. I loved Battleship. Loved Battleship. Let's see what else. Little Kittles. Anybody remember them? They were these little dolls that came in these like perfume bottles. I remember them. I had them, but they were also made by Mattel, and my grandmother worked for Mattel. Michelle and my grandmother worked for Mattel. We had everything Barbie you could want. But also Francie, Barbie's mod cousin, was introduced. I don't know what her thing was. Oh, I do know that was the year they introduced the bendable legs of Barbies, 1966. So I thought that was cool. But also in 1966, a doll was introduced called Baby Secret. Now, being mysterious and macabre as an undercurrent, hopefully, of all my shows, that you might find a few weird things in tonight's show, and this is one of them. Baby Secret. I don't have a picture of it, and I'm sorry that I don't, but Baby Secret is a talking doll, but not a talking doll. Feed me, change me, whatever. Take me to the, I don't know, whatever talking dolls say. I love you, mommy. My name is Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you. That's from the Twilight Zone. Remember that? But anyways, no, this doll, Baby Secret, you had to put her up to your ear and she would whisper something to you. And I just thought that was really, really creepy because I don't know if anybody remembers Teddy Ruxpin from the late 80s and the early 90s. People were hacking it and putting bad messages in there. Teddy Ruxpin was like a stuffed teddy bear that you could put had pre-recorded messages, and I guess you could put your own in there too, and people used to put bad messages in there and it was awful. So anyways, I thought Baby Secret was really, really weird. Let's see. The first ATM was introduced in 1966. I mean, I don't ever remember seeing them till the 90s, so they certainly have come a long way. But I thought it was interesting that they were in 1966, the first ATM was patented by a man from Scotland, another Scottish person, not just Gordon Ramsay, another Scottish person named James Goodfellow. So he was a Scottish man, and he patented the first ATM in 1966. January 1st, 1966, we saw the very first labels on cigarettes warning about health. That happened on January 1st, 1966. It hasn't stopped anybody since. It certainly didn't stop me. I knew smoking was bad, and I did it anyways. Let's see. Page two of our notes. What foods were introduced in 1966? Some fun and generally unhealthy foods were introduced in 1966. And wait until I tell you the most popular. They were fun and generally unhealthy too. So foods introduced in 1966, Cool Whip, or as Stewie would say, Cool Whip. So yeah. Oh, I'm glad you guys are commenting. I cannot see the comments. Thank you. Let's see if I bounce over here. Nope, I can't see them. All right. Well, talk amongst yourselves. I hope you're enjoying everything. And this has happened to me before with StreamYard, and I don't know why, but I want to thank you all again for watching. And I hope you're enjoying the let's see, the stuff that I'm sharing with you. There we go. All right. Oh, yes. Michelle, happy birthday. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sue and Mark and Aaron and Dan and Gina and Lauren, everybody. Ryan, thank you. Oh, geez, everybody. Thank you so much. Now I can see you all. Thanks for watching. Sorry for that little glitch. It's so hot in here. Anyways, on we go. So Cool Whip, that's where I left off. Foods that were introduced in 1966. Fresca. Ugh. Who remembers Fresca? Oh, Ryan Thompson. I just want to say saying hello from Kentucky. So we have somebody from California and from Kentucky, not just Massachusetts. I feel international. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. But yeah, Fresca was nasty. Wasn't that a grapefruit flavored diet soda? Ugh, put that out there with Tab. Thanks, but no thanks. Bugles were introduced in 1966. Crunch and Munch. And I thought Crunch and Munch was funny because I'm at my mother's house this weekend, and my mother and I both, we love Crunch and Munch. And they sell it in boxes at the $1.25 store. It's not the dollar store anymore, but we both love Crunch and Munch, and that was introduced in 1966. Popcorn, caramel, peanuts. Also, speaking of caramel, the caramello was introduced in 1966. I had a caramello today, by the way. Speaking of caramellos, Swiss Miss Instant Cocoa was introduced in 1966. So these are all kind of like not really good foods for you. I said bugles, cool whip, Doritos. There's one for you guys. Doritos were introduced in 1966, but they were plain. They didn't put nacho cheese on them till 1971. That's a fun fact. So Doritos introduced in 1966, but no nacho cheese until 1971. And also in 1966, and certainly not everybody knows this, I didn't know this. In 1966, the Catholic bishops got together and decided to end no meat Fridays. So since 1966, the Catholic Church has actually allowed eating meat on Fridays. I think some people did not know that. I certainly didn't. I'm not Catholic. I eat meat on Fridays. Didn't bother me any. But yeah, interesting. But also the most popular dinners in 1966, or most popular meals in 1966, TV dinners and canned soup. Yeah, fun and bad for you. So I think 1966 introduced a lot of like convenience foods and stuff like that. That's fried stuff and TV dinners and Crunch and Munch and Cool Whip, which is just so fake. Look, Cool Whip, take the time to whip real whipped cream. It's so easy. Take a second and Google that yourself. You will thank me later. And the worst thing that happens if you screw up the whipped cream, if you overbeat it, you end up with homemade butter. Trust me, you'll never eat Cool Whip again. Cool Whip is vegetable oil, and you don't want to put vegetable oil on your dessert. So thank you. That's my public service announcement. But those were some foods introduced in 1966. So the next thing I want to talk about, popular culture, would be from 1966, the year of Michele's birthday. Happy birthday, Michele / Lizzie. Star Trek debuted in 1966. Very, very culturally significant TV show. We all know that. I don't have to explain it to you. Let's see what else. Batman, the very campy and very, very popular Batman show. I loved the original Batman. Michele, I remember watching that with you on Farmington Avenue. Michele used to live right behind the Farmington Drive-In when we were little kids. But I remember watching Batman. Pow! All that kind of stuff. We loved it. Let's see what else. Family Affair debuted in 1966. Now, I thought that was kind of cool because, Michele, it's your birthday. Happy 60th birthday. When Michele was a little girl, she had a Mrs. Beasley doll. And who remembers Mrs. Beasley from Family Affair? It was the two little kids were Buffy and Jody. Hi, Piper. Thanks for joining. Hi, Michele. There you are. Yeah, Buffy and Jody, and Buffy was a little girl, Jody was a little boy, and Buffy had a doll called Mrs. Beasley, and Michele had a Mrs. Beasley doll. Now, that little girl who played her, she passed away at a very young age, but Johnny Whitaker, who played Jody, the boy, he's still alive. He acted in a lot of stuff, and but yeah, Michele had a Mrs. Beasley doll. Michele, you're going to have to go back and watch and hear what I said about the Yankees in 1966. I can tell you tomorrow. Anyways, Dark Shadows premiered in 1966. However, Barnabas Collins didn't appear until April of 1967. So you got to make that differentiation. But yeah, Dark Shadows hit the air in 1966. That's one of my favorite shows. Let's see. And Michele, the Monkees premiered in 1966. Another favorite of Michele and mine growing up was the Monkees, not just watching it, but singing their songs and watching their show. Hey, with the Monkees. Anybody that's watching this knows the Monkees. And yes, Michele was named after Mickey Mantle. But again, Michele, you're going to have to go back and watch that about what I said about the Yankees in 1966. It was very amazing. And Dark Shadows, yeah, what a cool show. Love that show. And loved the Monkees too. Now, here's some interesting things about the Monkees. Peter Tork, one of the Monkees, in 1966, so that he would not get drafted, another But here's your facta obscura for the night. Another person took college courses under Peter Tork's name so that Peter Tork could be a registered student so he wouldn't get drafted, but he was actually filming the monkeys, and an imposter, or so to speak, filled in for him in college so that that he wouldn't get drafted. And yeah, Lisa Aubie, Kate Jackson, she debuted in Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows is a very, very culturally significant show. So many cultural. I mean, I had freaking blessed. You know me. I will tell all of you. I love researching my shows. I loved researching this one, and I would have to do. I would love to do one of these on every year. But anyways, I'm going to stick with 1966 for now. Hi, Nathan. So I said that about Peter Tork. The other thing about the monkeys is Mike Nesmith. He was another monkey, and the monkeys premiered in 1966. And I told you about Peter Tork being a student in 1966 so that he didn't get drafted. In 1966 in Boston, Mike Nesmith's mother invented whiteout. You all know what whiteout is. If anybody doesn't know what whiteout is, raise your hand and go ask your mother. And your mother will tell you. So a couple of interesting little blurbs about the monkeys that all pertain to 1966. The number one show at the time was Bonanza, and the show that swept the Emmys that year was actually the Dick Van Dyke Show. Best actor, best actress, Mary Tyler Moore. And it was also the year that television went 100% color, 1966. It was also the... Sorry, save that one for the blooper reel. It was 1966 was also the year that How the Grinch Stole Christmas debuted on CBS. So that was pretty cool too. Now, and it was 1966 was the last episode of Ozzie and Harriet. They went off the air in 1966. So there's some fun kind of TV trivia for you. I think you all enjoyed that. I had a blast looking it up. And now on to some music. The overall number one song of 1966 was California Dreamin' by the Mamas and Papas. Another number one song of 1966 was The Ballad of the Green Berets. Another number one song of 1966 was Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, and also I'm a Believer by the Monkees. Nathan, you loved Bonanza. My husband still watches reruns of Bonanza today. So that's just a classic, tried and true show that just stands the test of time. It's on MeTV. So is Dark Shadows. So is probably the Monkees. So is Star Trek and Batman and all these other shows I listed, probably on MeTV here. Wherever you are, everybody's got MeTV, I think. So also hang on, because I'm going to tell you something about the Rolling Stones. I said Paint It Black was their number one hit in 1966. Hold that thought. I'll get back to that. The Jimi Hendrix Experience came on the scene. Beach Boys released their album Pet Sounds, which just was... Look, I'm just going to say this about Pet Sounds. That's got good vibrations on it. And if you want to release a song to the aliens out into space, I think you need to release the full extended version of Good Vibrations. It's a song that the aliens want to hear and would love to hear. And I think it would do well in space. And that's just my opinion. And I don't know why I think that. Pet Sounds was a great album from the Beach Boys in 1966. You Can't Hurry Love from the Supremes was out in 1966. Motown was on fire. We all love Motown. I saw Diana Ross in Hartford in the 1980s, and it was electric. I don't know any other way to say it. It was electric. A once-in-a-lifetime experience. Let's see. The Beatles had their last public concert. Also, the Beatles released the Revolver album, and on that album, they had two number one hits, Paperback Writer and We Can Work It Out. And about the Rolling Stones, in 1966, the Rolling Stones did a concert in Hartford, and things got out of control. Things got so out of control that security had to cut the electricity to the concert. Guys and girls were being dragged off by police and security. Mick Jagger got so disgusted that there was no electricity, he threw the microphone into the audience, and the Rolling Stones stormed out off the stage. And this was all in 1966, and it was mayhem. That's what they said, anyways. It was mayhem. So I thought that was interesting. I never knew about that in Hartford in 1966, and I grew up just outside of Hartford. For you non-Connecticut people, yeah, I grew up in Hartford. Really, I probably 11 miles outside of it. So for all intents and purposes, yeah, Hartford. Let's see. That was 1966 was the year that John Lennon said that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus, and he took a lot of shit for that, and that's really a shame because you know what? The Beatles were more popular than Jesus. So he was stating a fact. I don't think he was absolutely not being disrespectful. He was stating a fact on the Dick Cavett show. I mean, personally, I don't see anything wrong with it because it was true. Let's see. Ooh, books. 1966, Valley of the Dolls was released. OMG. Anybody out there looking for a good summer read? Check out Valley of the Dolls from your library or get it on audio. I bet you can listen to it on YouTube on audio. It's a very easy read. I will tell you this, it's very dated. It's a book from the 1960s. So I'm an old lady, I am from the 60s. So I know the lingo and I understand it. So I really enjoy it and I understand that time period. It's like some people just can't read. People in this day and age don't really understand Irma Bombeck the way some of us girls do, if you know what I mean. But I strongly recommend reading Valley of the Dolls if you can understand that context of the 1960s and what was going on with the women's movement and pills and being on stage and all kinds of crazy stuff. And watch the movie with Patty Duke and what was her name? Sharon Tate. That's launched her career too. And many other famous people were in that movie. Great movie. Really good adaptation. It was a great book, great summer read. You could read that book in a weekend, pick it up on Friday and be done with it Sunday afternoon. So if you're going away, pick it up. Jacqueline Suzanne was a paperback writer. But anyways, Jacqueline Suzanne wrote a lot of really good books. But also what I thought was interesting, and I want you to hold this thought, Jacqueline Suzanne really was a firm believer in UFOs, and that comes through in a couple of her books. It comes through in a couple of her books. She firmly believed in contact from outer space. But her books are a lot of fun. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. I'm warning you. Like I said, we're in 18 plus space. But her books are a lot of fun and they're easy reads and they're easy to follow. The plots aren't real complicated, but very, very fun. Sorry for my red tongue. I'm drinking Gatorade. What else we got? Let's see. Walt Disney passed away in 1966, and so did Lenny Bruce. And so did Buster Keaton, silent film star Buster Keaton. We were just talking about Walt Disney a couple weeks ago. Let's see. Here's a mystery for you. Mysterious and Macabre. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you a lot about this, but I am going to give you two places to go look. Kenneth Main's Unsolved No More and Pat Brown, FBI Criminal Profiler, both on YouTube. Kenneth Main's Unsolved No More and Pat Brown, FBI Criminal Profiler, both on YouTube. The Mystery of the Beaumont Children. In 1966, 3 children left their home, got on the bus, went to the local beach, and were seen at the beach. And at some point were never seen again. I believe they've never been found since 1966. Many people saw them. There were many witnesses. A lot of weird things happened, and they were very, very young, but apparently the oldest was responsible. They were like 9 and 6 and 2 or something like that. Very, very young. But these 3 kids got on a bus one day in 1966, went to the local beach, which I guess they had done before, and they never came home. People saw them at the beach, saw them getting food, saw them with money they weren't supposed to have, and some other weird stuff. So I strongly recommend that if you're into unsolved mysteries, this was a really good one. Kenneth Maines, Unsolved No More, and Pat Brown, FBI criminal profiler, both on YouTube. Check them out. Yasu, that was in Australia. And I think it happened, well, they went to the beach, so it would be our winter, their summer. So I think it happened like December of 1966. It's a very, very interesting case. And like I said, many people saw these kids at the beach. Some things that they saw were normal, some things that they saw weren't normal. But again, I just wanted to just like kind of put that on you guys' radar. If you're interested in looking up a very interesting case that happened in 1966, that was something that I ran across and really enjoyed watching those two documentaries about them, which I'd actually seen previous to this. But also, the Mothman kind of hit the radar on November 16th, 1966. I think they were teenagers, two young couples say that they ran away from a 7-foot tall humanoid creature with wings and red eyes. And they were like out in the woods, like parking, like making out, a couple in the front, a couple in the back. And they saw this creature and they drove away as fast as they could. And they all swear that they were doing over 100 miles an hour. And this creature effortlessly glided with their car and kept up with them at over 100 miles an hour. So that was in November of 1966. That was Sybil, look into that case. Very fascinating. Anyways, so that was the first sighting of the Mothman, over 7 feet tall, humanoid. Oh my God. And then his sightings were tied to a month later to the collapse of the the Silver City? Oh, the Silver Bridge. And many people were killed. Some people survived. Some people were never recovered, I believe. But apparently the Mothman does not cause bad things to happen, but the Mothman signifies something bad is coming, maybe is a prophecy, not prophecies something, but his appearance is a prophecy, if you understand what I'm saying, if that makes any sense. Also, 1966, ooh, this was a scary one. The Black Monk of Pontefract. The Black Monk of Pontefract. It was a famous haunting in West Yorkshire in England. The Pritchard family, they had a young daughter and she was plagued by poltergeist activity. The family said she was dragged upstairs. She would be choked by the neck and they couldn't see what was happening to her. There are many physical assaults on her. Then they claimed to have seen a black entity that looked like a monk, and supposedly they tracked it down to a monk who was executed by Henry VIII on that land, or near that land, in Pontefract Castle, which was well known for its executions. I'm sorry I can't keep up with the comments. Back to Sybil. Mothman did bring some premonitions, and he, like I said, he didn't cause things, but he appeared and things happened. He didn't prophecy them, but his appearance was a prophecy of some sort. A premonition. His appearance was a premonition. Thank you. So, but yeah, back to the Black Monk of Pontefract, the British poltergeist case. Yeah, where was I? Traced back to a monk who was executed by Henry VIII at Pontefract Castle, which was famous for executions. And interestingly, the house that this occurred at in 1966, this well-known poltergeist case, is now open for paranormal investigations. So I thought that was kind of cool. Dan says harbinger. Yes, a harbinger of doom. He's like a heralder, an announcer, and a messenger, not the one that makes it happen. Like that expression, don't shoot the messenger, right? Right? It's not the messenger's fault. He's just delivering the news. So let's see what I got next here. And I'm going to probably work towards wrapping things up. Also, I did a tarot pull for Michele. I pulled a tarot card. Wait till you hear this. I'm going to do that at the end. Sorry, my ice squeaked. Anyways, 1966 was known as a flap year for UFO sightings. A flap year, I don't know why. You'll have to look that up yourself. A flap year means, I think, that there were like 1,000 or more sightings. There have been 5 flap years. Oops. 5 flap years in United States history. Of UFO sightings. And there's my graphic again. I just love this graphic. I just love it. So 1947, 1952, 1966, 1973, and 1997. Hi, Joy. I'm glad. Better late than never. Always glad when you can make it. So, anyways, yeah, 66 was a flap year, a very, very big year in UFO sightings. And there were some other incidents that kind of I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg here. If these incidents I did it again. If these incidents happened that caused sightings to go up or sightings went up and these incidents, I don't know. You have to figure it out for yourself. But these particular 5 years that I just listed, there were over 1,000 sightings to the United States Air Force. There were so many sightings in the year of 1966 that the United States military actually changed how they handle uh, sighting reports. Anyways, so what did happen in 1966 as far as UFOs go? So, like I told you about Jacqueline Suzanne, she was a big believer in UFOs. Let's see. Okay, so we know like some like Star Trek came out. So sci-fi was very, very popular in 1966. But also in 1966 in Michigan, there were two incidents. One happened on March 20th of 1966, and it was known as the Dexter incident. And I think the Dexter is because I'm not sure if it's the name of the family or the name of the neighborhood. But a family reported strange lights and a metallic object landing. They report watching it land. Okay. This was also witnessed by law enforcement. Nobody had any explanation for it. That was March 20th. March 21st, the Hillsdale incident. So first was the Dexter incident. Now we've got the Hillsdale incident. As in Hillsdale College. The next night, March 21st, at Hillsdale College, students and police witnessed mysterious lights over the campus arboretum. They were moving, they were maneuvering for hours. And the Air Force said they were swamp gas. My ass, swamp gas. And that was really bizarre. And then shortly after that, in Melbourne, Australia, speaking of Australia, so that was March 20th and March 21st in Michigan. On April 6th in Melbourne, Australia, over 200 students and teachers observed a noiseless, dome-shaped silvery craft floating and maneuvering in the sky. Not only did they observe a craft floating and maneuvering in the sky, it appeared that there were small planes chasing it. Nobody ever knew what it was. And there were many, many witnesses. And then the next day in Portage County, Ohio. So we're talking about a cluster of sightings in a short period of time, in like a 3-4 week period in springtime of 66. In April, Portage County, Ohio, multiple deputies chased an object for 86 miles, an object in the air, a hovering metallic object. Deputies chased it for 86 miles. Nobody ever knew what it was. No explanation. In Truro, Massachusetts, as us Massachusetts folk like to say, down the Cape. In Truro, a young military man, 19-year-old, got off a bus in Truro and realized he had time missing. I think this one's a little sketchy. And they say supposedly that under hypnosis, he said that he had been abducted. I don't know about that. 19-year-old military guy with missing time. I think there might be other reasons why he might be missing time, but who knows? Anything's possible. Here I am talking about other UFO sightings and whatnot. So, but again, that was also in spring of 1966. And then also you've got now Betty and Barney Hill. So Betty and Barney Hill, they were a famous abduction. I think that was in New Hampshire, but that happened in 1961. Betty and Barney Hill report being abducted by UFO in New Hampshire in 1961, but their book came out. Their book came out in 1966. So Betty and Barney Hill, there were all these sightings about UFOs or of UFOs in 1966, and Betty and Barney Hill's book came out in 1966 too. So there were a lot of very high profile UFO sightings in 1966, and I think that that's kind of a cool way to start winding down our kind of fun and interesting and wild and wacky Factoids about 1966. Michele slash Lizzie. I hope more than anything, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I put a picture of my cousin up there. That is Lizzie of Lizzie Lou Studio. Happy 60th birthday. We're going to her party tomorrow night. Can't wait. Um, but that's why I did 1966, kind of the year, and maybe a little weird and popular. Um, to kind of honor Michele's 60th birthday. I hope you all enjoyed that kind of stuff, that I presented, all the pop culture stuff, Cool Whip, and the factoids about the music and the UFOs. But I want to wrap things up with this. So before I left for my trip to Connecticut today, I knew I was going to live stream here at Mom's house for Michele's birthday. So I did some meditating, and I did a tarot pull. I pulled I meditated over my cousin Michelle's 60th birthday, and I pulled the Three of Cups. Does anybody know anything about the Three of Cups in tarot? Oh my God, Michele. Oh my God. It is the ultimate, and everybody's saying happy birthday, Michele. I pulled the Three of Cups for my trip today for my cousin Michele, and the Three of Cups, it is the ultimate card of joy and community. I was stunned. Here I am coming to celebrate my cousin's birthday. Michele was my very first best friend ever. Um, we are so joyful to be celebrating. 2 years ago, Michele was instrumental in putting a dinner together for my 60th birthday. I know how joyful birthdays can be. So many of you helped me celebrate my birthday this year. But yeah, but the Three of Cups, a card of absolute joy and community and celebration. It's time to come together with your family and your chosen family, Michele. That's what I like about this card, the Three of Cups. It's not just about having family and loved ones around you. It's about your chosen family. And Michele, when you decide someone is your family, you decide someone is your family. You love people fiercely. Um, and it's time to enjoy the rewards of your hard work of nurturing these relationships over the years. You surround yourself with these deep, loving, and supportive relationships. There's me, there's Lisa, there's all we'll see everybody tomorrow night. You know what I'm talking about, and cousins. And it's this card. It also talks about surrounding yourself at social gatherings, birthday party tomorrow night, and things like weddings and birthday parties, having fun and being able to accept yourself for who you are and having a good time being yourself. I was just really, really pleased that I pulled the Three of Cups to honor Michele's birthday after meditating on Michele's birthday. So I think that was just kind of a really cool way to wrap this up. I don't think there could have been a better card to pull when you're coming home to celebrate. Don't tell anybody, your favorite cousin's 60th birthday, you know? So on that note, guys, I hope you really enjoyed these fun and crazy facts on 1966. Joy, thank you for piping up, Joy. Joy and her husband had 2 UFO sightings. Please read her comment here. Let me throw it back up. So read that comment. As I said, I'm going to start wrapping things up here. It's very, very hot in this room, and I think I did a good job sitting on the bed and looking at my notes. I'm kind of in a cramped space. But yeah, make sure that you all read Joy's comment here. As Christy says, believe always. Believe always. So happy birthday, Michele / Lizzie. There would be no Lizzie Lou Studio without Lizzie. I love you, Michele. I hope everybody enjoyed this presentation for Michele. And enjoyed this trip down 1966. I really had fun with the play on words. Guys, I am going to wrap it up and check out. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you all, my good friends. Thank you. And Sue, you guys have a blast. You guys are going to another party tomorrow night. Have fun. And thank you, Lisa. I love you. And Lisa, I come here and I should be having dinner with you at 7:19 p.m. on a Friday night at Mama Luke's, but alas, we are not. So, Woohoo. Sybil says, woohoo. Happy birthday, Michele. And I love you guys. And I'll talk to my friends, everybody, very, very soon. Bye bye, everybody. Take it easy. Thank you. Bye bye.